Laetitia Kae Kotze, welcome to Challenge to Champion, and thank you so much for coming. And I'm really excited to talk to you.
I am super excited to be here. Thank you so much for the invite.
We've known each other for a bit of time because you and your husband are actually friends of my brothers and his wives.
Yes, yeah.
Oh,
so we've seen each other at Bryce. We've been in the same room a few times.
Yes, but I can assure you that after this chat, it will be the same as having shared 10 Bryce together.
Amen.
Because we don't have any phones, no distractions. That is actually the beautiful thing about a podcast like this.
Yeah.
I always say you don't really get a chance to have this type of intimate talk to anyone because there's so many distractions in life today.
Yeah, that's so true. And it's something I've actually, the last few months, I've really tried to just take a step away from again and just refresh my mind, just get back to basics and just to see am I at the right place, am I on the right track? Because I think it's so difficult with social media and everything that you just lose yourself so quickly. So that's super, super true.
Have you tried to give yourself some social hours in the day and the rest of the time blocking it out or something like that?
Yeah, it's difficult because my work is quite a bit on social media. So when you do go on to post something or do something, then it's so easy where you just see like 15 minutes later you're just scrolling into a black hole. I call it the rabbit hole. Yeah. So we know in the office when I'm like, okay, there goes a rabbit hole, then everybody kind of puts their phones down. Let's continue with work.
Yeah. No, it is ridiculous. You can easily get lost, and I try to get myself to at least not only consume but also create.
Yeah. And
try to get that ratio right as well.
Yeah.
So that when I'm always on social, I'm not just consuming, I'm actually putting a lot of stuff out there.
Yeah, I believe there's a way you can actually work with social media, but that's the way you do it, right? So you kind of just step into it and you do what you need to do and you step out.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it becomes quite a...
post and run.
Yeah.
Okay, so the main reason I invited you on is because of the book that you wrote.
Yes.
Keeping the Joy. That is right up my alley. I love hearing about people's way in which they can manifest joy in their life. But it was interesting to me that you said keeping the joy, because that means to me that you already have joy.
Yeah, I think throughout my journey, which I'm sure we'll talk about as well, it's been quite a roller coaster. And I've come to a realization that in life, you never arrive at joy, right? Like I feel like you never get to a place where you're like, I have joy now, and that's for the rest of my life, and that's just how it is. The Bible says that like we'll get trials and tribulations every single day, maybe, and it's just how we handle it and how we consume that and actually get to the other side. How we get to the other side is the most important thing that we can think about. So keeping the joy is doesn't matter what comes your way. It's how you handle it and how you actually get through it and how you choose joy in it. Yeah,
we're going to get into that, and we're going to get into a bit of your other endeavors and so on. But what I also found really inspiring about this is you're a creative. You're a singer. You studied at Open Window, so you said you do a lot of creative work, social marketing, all of that type of things. So you're an author, singer, creative director. I saw you did a couple of plays at the church.
Yeah.
So many things. And I think a lot of time being a creative goes against just sitting and writing a book.
Yeah.
It's like totally different avenues, because the creative just wants to flow, just wants to do whatever. And this is very strict work. Sit down, do the work.
Look, for me, I think it's a very divine appointment for me. I always joke and say I can't even write a proper email. But the day that God told me, now write your story, it took me 3 months and I wrote everything down. And it wasn't a thing where I had to go and plan everything out. I literally took it chapter by chapter. And when I'm done with the first, I knew what the second one was going to be. And I just wrote it and it came out so amazingly. So it's really a testimony, to be honest. Like
and a bit of a autobiography as well.
Yeah.
So can we talk a little bit about your past? Because I assume that's how the book is written as well.
Yeah.
It goes through your story.
Yeah.
Who's Laetitia? I normally ask this to people as well because identity is quite a big thing for me, and it's a thing that has changed for me.
Yeah.
How would you describe yourself? How do you see yourself?
Sure. I've really actually thought about it a lot in the past few months. Who am I?
Yeah.
Like, yes, I'm a worship leader at church. Yes, I am a creative director. I have 2 of my own businesses. I write songs. I wrote a book. So there's so much, and I've always seen myself as those things. And I had to go and really break it down to the core. And for me personally, I see myself as a worshiper. And every single thing that I do in my life is because of worship. So,
and it's not in the sense of being a worship leader at church,
no,
the singing. It's a different worship.
Yeah, that's a way of worship. But in my heart, like I always say, like worship isn't just singing and lifting up your hands and praising God or anything like that. It's really a lifestyle. It's really what your heart does every single day, every single minute of the day. So yeah, that's how I really go and describe myself these days. Is I'm a worshiper, and everything else flows from that, and it's beautiful.
That is a beautiful description
see.
Because I've had this talk with a couple of my guests. We describe ourselves by what we do. And the moment we stop being able to do those things, now we lose identity.
Exactly.
And that becomes like a crisis, because now you're searching for identity. And a lot of people search and then in the wrong things.
Yeah.
So, but I think I like that description a lot. So tell me a bit of the backstory about Laetitia.
Yeah, so if I have to summarize my life story, I always do it with a giggle, because I start with it and then people are like, oh, no. And then I'm like, okay, no, I'm not done yet. And then I keep going and I keep going. But I think throughout my life, I've seen places where the enemy wanted to come and steal my joy. From a little girl, a 6-year-old, which I'm not going to go into necessarily, but from there already, the enemy tried to come and get my identity and my joy. So from there, it was a whole thing that I do describe in the book, as a teenager getting burnt out already and really being in a very lost place, going into university and really not knowing where I fit in and what it is. And as a 21-year-old, actually, dabbling in suicide, and how God actually pulled me out of that moment. That's a whole another story in a paradise island where we were actually performing for the Prince of Bahrain. It's like in the worldly manner, it looks like very successful, but it was so empty. And from there, going and really finding God and becoming everything that He wanted me to be, and putting me in a place where I can live out that worship and becoming a worship leader, But and then the last 8 years, if I give it a massive short summary, my mother passed away with cancer. My father passed away with cancer. I had quite a traumatic birth with my first born. I had 2 very early, miscarriages. 2 weeks after my second born, I was pushed into a hospital again, and they had to remove my womb. Just a little bit later, they gave me an 85% chance of getting breast cancer myself. And actually in COVID time going in for a double mastectomy, which now took that 85% chances down to 3%, which is great because now, you don't live with that fear of that. But that's just a very short summary of everything that has been aspiring in my life, and how God then actually came and said, you know what, you can still experience joy even in all of those moments. You can still live out your life in a joyful manner. You don't have to actually look at those things, and those do not define you at all, and just step out of that and continue.
How do you, going through all of those difficulties, think about those difficulties and not become resentful towards God?
I think, sure.
Have you
really
gone through those stages?
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah.
I think even I went through the resentment even before those things came, I think, as well. I was in a very dark place until God saved me. And it was really not a long time after I was saved that these things started happening, But in that moment, I learned the power of praising and worshiping, where you are in your lowest valley, like how praise can actually lift you out of that. And I remember actually my mother laying in the hospital, and they're giving me the songs to sing, like you're a good father, and you are good. And I really had to go on there and get a new revelation every single time that God is still the provider. He is still good, even though you are going through the most. He's still there. He's still God. He's still in control. And it was right after we came out of that, if I can call it the valley, that he said, okay, I want you to write your story. And it's so amazing because when you look back, you never see his hand in it while you're in that situation, right? Yeah. You're like, my word, really? Yeah. And I think the Bible is full of those stories, right? Like there's people that
terrible times.
Yeah. But that never says that God wasn't there.
Yeah.
And when you look back and you see where you're now, you can kind of see how he orchestrated things as well. Yeah. And made bad things work out together for the good, Yeah.
Do you think sometimes that for you to be able to have written this book and have your vision of life, would that have been possible if not for those bad things?
Wait, rephrase.
Would you still have your testimony, the one that you have today? And I think that's pretty obvious that you wouldn't. But how would it look different? Would you still have those feelings that you have today if not for those bad things happening?
Yeah, okay. And now it makes sense. You know what? I have a strong belief that God knows the plans for your life, but so does the enemy, And I really feel like if he can come and steal our children's joy, it's so easy to get them derailed, But I definitely don't think that I would worship the same now if I haven't gone through all of those things. It's not to say, like, even if I look at my husband, he had a really safe life, if I can put it, against mine. It's quite a kind of black and white situation there. But and I feel like some things are easier for him to process and to think about, whereas I would go into a hole very quickly and then have to kind of readjust and rethink and so I think there's place for both in the world.
Yeah.
for instance, if I didn't have that type of husband, I don't think I would be at the same place as well, because every single time we went through something, he was the one that was like, you know what, it's going to be okay. We're going to get through this as well. And he was the voice of reason as well. So I think I think there's place for both, because we need to help those around us.
Of course. And I think also, and I would never wish anything bad on any person, but if you did make it through, you are now qualified to help the person who is in the situation that you were in.
Yeah.
And you would probably not be qualified not going through those things.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree.
Yeah, it's still not a nice thing, but the fact is you made it, and you're making it easier for people who are struggling with it, showing them that there is a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, I love that quote. I'm not going to remember who said it now, but basically she said, you shining your light gives others permission to do the same. And I actually experienced it 2 weeks ago again, where we were sitting for the production and somebody was doing my makeup, and she was saying she's going through a hard time, and she was asking me about the book, and I shared a little bit about my testimony, and she's like, you know what, I'm okay.
Yeah.
And I think it's just a small thing like that, being able to laugh through those moments and saying, you know what, it happened, but I'm still here. I'm still standing. I'm still okay. Oh. Let's go on and, still do whatever we can. It gives permission to those people around us as well to actually lift their heads and say, okay, I can do this.
Yeah, but I also think, say you go to therapy or something like that, but you know that person has not endured what you have endured. I don't know if you really know what I'm talking about, so I don't know if I really want to listen to what you're saying, because I don't feel that you have the life experience to guide me through this. And that's maybe a bit of ignorance on my side. I'm not sure, but that is how I feel at this stage.
Yeah.
And I feel that the experience allows you to help others.
Yeah, definitely. I do also believe there's a space for those people as well, for psychologists, and I've been to a few and I've worked through, and I think they have they have great tools, maybe not the experience. Again, if I tell my whole story, then they're like, okay, let's see where we're gonna start.
Yeah.
But I'm actually okay. I just need every now and again just to be rerouted on the right way, how to take better care of myself, things like that. So for instance, you've mentioned I'm an author, I'm a singer, I'm a this and I'm a that, and then when I tell people that, then I'm like, that's too much. That's too much. You're doing too much. And then for instance, somebody now told me, how are you going to take care of yourself? What is the moments where you're going to actually just take time out and say, yes, I'm a mom, but I need a little bit of time for myself. And what does that look like? Maybe you're going to go running. Maybe you're going to just go away for the weekend, or, so I think there's very good that can come out of it as well. Maybe they don't understand, but they can definitely give you some tools to cope better. Yeah.
I think also that you have had to do a lot of emotional and spiritual work. But knowing you and knowing your husband, he has a company that help you with physicality, doing physical things that can change your state.
Yeah.
So how do you incorporate the two? I'm very much a lifestyle guy. I know if I feel bad, there are certain physical things that I can do that will change my state.
Yes.
And when I'm in a better state, those emotional and spiritual problems are easier to solve and easier to think through and work through.
100%. My mother used to tell me whenever I'm like, oh, mommy, I have a bad day, whatever, back in the day, she'd be like, when is the last time you went to the gym? And I'd be like, oh, I want to go to the gym. And then you go to the gym and you feel better.
Yeah.
Because those endorphins are just like, it just helps lift you up. And the thing is, when you're down there, you can't even think that it's possible to feel better.
Yeah.
I know I've been burnt out quite a few times in my life, and then the doctors would tell me, listen, you need to take it slow. And I'm like, how am I supposed to take it slow? Which one of the things do I leave, But then I take a season, like I did now after everything that was released and things. I took a season for myself, and I said, I need to take care of myself, even if it's just to go walk in the morning, just to go to the gym a little bit, go on a mom's weekend away, just to pull back and just see, am I still at the right place? Am I still on the right route? But yes, my husband started a company a year ago called The Dunk. And when he told me he's going to build an ice bath, I started laughing first, because I was like, I don't swim in the summer. Like, I don't do cold.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? You're going to build an ice bath. I need to support you in this, which means I need to get in it, And then he did it, and I started with my toes and my legs, and then my arm, and then eventually I got in, and I felt like $1 million. I was like, wait, what's happening? So I do that every day now, or I try at least, let's say 4 times a week. And the days that I don't get in the ice bath in the morning, I can feel the difference. Like, yeah. I feel slumpy, I feel irritated, I feel like, I just want to sit and curl up in my blanket or something. And the mornings that I do at 6 o'clock, take an ice bath, I am there with my kids, and I'm like, good morning, let's wake up, let's go, it's time for school, ready to go, ready for the day. I get so much more done. So there's definitely so many tools, exercising, taking an ice bath. I don't know, there's certain things for certain people that I can't do coffee, so I know I should stay away. I start shivering. So there's different things for different people that actually help pick you up, and it's very important to actually know what those are. And when you feel down, even though you don't feel like it, to go and reach out to that list and kind of just say, let's go do one of these things.
Yeah, I'm going to do something difficult, which I choose.
Yeah.
And I have control over, then the thing that I don't have control over feels quite a lot easier.
So much easier. Yeah.
Yeah, I really have quite experience with this, with pain and a lot of those things. And doctors just putting me on medication. And what I learned is, take a pain medication or a depression medication, something like that. That medication does certain things to your brain.
Yeah.
Increase dopamine, increase adrenaline, endorphins, all of these things. But there are ways to increase them naturally.
Yeah.
Because what you forget is all of those medication work with chemicals, and they have side effects, negative side effects.
Yeah.
And then you go back into that problem again with those side effects. So getting some natural ways to encourage joy within yourself and feeling better is probably a good hack.
Yeah.
It's like a really good secret, basically, and it's free.
It's amazing.
You don't have to go buy an ice bath. If you can, do it. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's so much better than a cold shower. I do a cold shower just because of the getting in and out.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a mission, but I am going to get a ice bath. But just doing those things has a tremendous impact on how I feel daily.
Yeah.
And I would say my natural state is enjoy.
Same.
I lean more towards cynicism or negativity. So I need to hit certain activities in a day to make sure I'm in control of how I feel. What would you say are some aspects which can help you start to generate joy inside yourself?
Yeah, I think I was talking about it this morning with somebody. I was watching a podcast as well on like the world call it the positive self-talk and things like that. And I said to somebody this morning, it's actually funny because the Bible had that idea first, of let the weak say I am strong. So I think that's a great place to start. We've always had our affirmations somewhere in our room. I have a whole war room with a bunch of stuff on the walls and positive things and affirmations and just things to encourage you and lift you up again.
Basically, like subliminal messaging.
Yeah, basically telling your brain you are not. Yeah, because you were saying you're inclined to negative thoughts and things first, and I'm actually the same. People will be shocked if I say that, but if I'm alone, a lot of the times I am very serious and very, very focused, and I just want to get the job done and things like that. But when I'm in with people, I'm actually exhausted. So then I want people to have fun. I want to. So then the joy kind of comes out. But then I get back in my car and I'm like, okay, let's go home.
Saving energy for the next.
The
next interaction.
But definitely, so positive self-talk, affirmations, getting some exercise done, finding ways to just dim down your problems around you and just focusing on what is the things that I can actually now do to get where I want to go. I'm this person. I'm like, okay, I have 120 dreams and I want to have them all done by the end of the week. And then I just start going, and I think it's the worst thing I can do. So I think goal setting as well, because sometimes you see this mountain in front of you, but actually it's just, you just have to go to the rock that you can see. So I talk a lot about mountaineering in my book as well. We've done a few Drakensberg hikes, quite intense traverses. But then I talk about that and like how in life you can't look at the whole mountain and be like, okay, this is just a walk in the park. You don't do that. You literally come around a corner, then there's another mountain that you have to go up. So just going as far as you can see, and you'll see how far you can go. That saying as well. So setting big goals, your yearly goals, your 5-year goals, smaller goals, your monthly goals, and your weekly goals, and see like what is the stuff that I actually can get done today. Those things help a lot as well.
Prioritizing them.
And things.
I also think that, like we said, with the ice bath or putting yourself in discomfort by choice, it helps with those other difficult things that you want to get done that are maybe a bit more out of your control.
Yeah.
And it's not only based on you if the thing happens or is successful, but if you sit this morning with I call it the flinch, where you don't want to get into that ice bath or that cold shower, but you just do.
Yeah.
That gives you some positive feedback and evidence that you're able to do this
rewires your
thing.
brain.
Yes. Yeah. So then when you get to something difficult, a meeting or a phone call or something that you didn't want to do, you can remember, all right, but this morning I didn't want to do that thing. I did it. I felt great afterwards. Maybe I can do this thing that I don't want to do now.
Yeah. 100%.
I think that's so valuable. And a lot of guys describe it as building a mountain with the layers of paint.
Yeah.
It's so many small things where you prove to yourself, I can do it.
Yeah.
And that is evidence for the next thing.
Yeah.
For the next thing. And before you know it, you become this person. You are this person who does difficult things.
Yeah.
Who feels good, who speaks well, who speaks nicely to other people, who speak kindly to other people, because you have the evidence of this.
Yeah, 100%. I'm a little bit weird in this way where I love putting myself in hard situations. Or maybe not so much now. I think since becoming a mother, I'm kind of like, I don't want too much pain anymore. Like maybe after everything. But before that, my brother would be like, listen, we're going over the Drakensberg. It's 80 kilometers in 3 or 4 days. No girls allowed except my sister. And I was becoming that person that could handle a lot. You know, you've got 18 kilograms on your back, and I would never train for these things. That's like the the funniest thing ever. Paddle marathons and do all kinds of interesting things. I love doing that because it's hard, it's painful, it's sore, it's tough. But then when you actually get to the top and you're like, you see where you are, it just takes away all of that. And I think that's in life as well, you know, like there's tough things, and if you have to put that bag back on your back and everything is chafing and everything is sore and everything is blue, but you have no choice. Like there's no choice of going back. You can't go back to the womb. Only way out is actually finishing the race, you know. So and I think in the mountains I've learned that quite a bit. There's no shortcuts. There's no if I stop today. Actually, there's no stopping today. If you give up now, like where will you end up? Like what? So you might as well just pick up your bag. Let's go. Let's go see the view, the business we could start, the songs we could write, the books that we could write. What is the things that you can actually do by just picking up your bag and going? I've
had this precisely this same thought because a lot of people asked me, how can you be positive? Or how do you find it possible to be positive? And I tell them, well, you literally have two choices. The one is being sad and miserable. Now, I don't know how much life I have left. It might be another 50 years. So why would I want that miserable life? I didn't have a choice of being in a wheelchair, but I do have the choice on how I'm going to handle the situation now. And I have a amazing wife. So what type of life am I giving her by being miserable and sad the whole time? And it's going to be a terrible existence for myself. Why would I want to do that? So I've been searching for what other ways. How can you be better? How can you feel better? How can you keep improving daily? Every day.
And look, I think it's like it sounds so easy when you say it, and I mean we've both been through quite a bit. I actually thought about it this morning. Your story inspired me so much because I remember I was my daughter was like not even a year old. My father just passed away. They just gave me this thing of like, you're gonna get breast cancer. I went in for a 6-hour double mastectomy surgery, and I just came out of it, and I was in hospital, and I was feeling a little bit sorry for myself. And then I saw your story on Facebook, and I was so inspired by you because it wasn't just I was kind of there almost voluntary, you know, and you were there totally involuntary. But you were positive. You were saying all the right things, and to keep yourself on the right track already there in that moment. And that day I was just like, okay, if you can do it, I can do it, you know? And I think that's the thing, is like, by being positive, we inspire others to be. But sorry, just to get back to back to our point. It's just now I can't remember where we were.
No, it doesn't matter. But I think at that stage, when I was in the hospital, I think I said a lot of the things which I said, possibly to convince myself of it.
That's where we were. Sorry, now it's back to me. But that's the thing. So I was saying, it's easy to say it. You know, you have to be positive. You need to speak positive. You need to find the things that. But if you're in that hole, it doesn't seem so easy. But I feel like if you can actually do it, it will just pull you out of that thing easier. So that podcast I was listening to is like, you have to really envision the things for your life a day ahead, a year ahead, before you're there. Whereas if you're now you're lying in hospital, you could have been like,
this is it. Yeah.
Oh my word, this is it. But you chose to turn it around and write a positive story with it. And that's beautiful.
I don't know if I felt the obligation, or I don't really know what was the reason. I'm actually busy preparing to do a speech next week at a father and son evening.
Yeah.
It's like a first big public speaking event.
Nice.
And it was quite difficult for me to write out that whole story about that whole time and everything that happened, because telling the story is a little bit different than properly like putting it in a book version.
Yeah.
How difficult was that for you, by going in your mind through all those details of what you've been through and putting it on paper, because you're now basically reliving it?
Yeah. I think throughout my walk, I've told my testimony quite a few times, and the Bible also says that will set you free, you know. And by the time I got here, it was quite easy.
Okay.
Because I've already spoken about it. I've already kind of let go. I told my my daughter yesterday about you've got this bowl of emotions, and I think it's the same with experiences and everything. If you keep it for yourself, it's like water is pouring into it, and at some stage, this thing is going to burst, or it just overflow, you know, with tears and bad things and, you know, tantrums and things like that. But if you pour it out a little bit, as the water is coming in, you pour it out a little bit, there's so much more room for actually enjoyable things.
And you can keep that equilibrium going.
Yeah, and you can later tell your story without feeling that overflow of emotions, you know. Yeah. So I think that helped. But I also get to places where I think I've kind of travailed on these things so much, and then I got to a place again where I felt, okay, I'm on the edge of burnout again. I've been here, and why am I here again? And then I kind of resented even the book, because I was like, I've got all these tidbits of wisdom and things in there, and I really don't feel like actually taking it and doing it, you know? And I think we go through life, that's what I said in the beginning as well, we get trials and tribulations and we never arrive. But every single time I had to go back, and I even had to go read my own book and be like, okay, wow, there's ways for me to actually get out of this again. And I did the work again and again and again and again. And I think that's the important part. I think people get so discouraged when they go through something again. And they're like, oh, okay, but I've been here. Isn't it time that I'm not not here anymore? But if you've been through things, even your accident and things, it always comes back, you know. It always comes back and in a way haunt you a little bit.
Yeah.
But then you just need to kind of redo the work.
Yeah.
Every time, and it's okay. It's okay.
I had a conversation yesterday with one of the people in the office, and they told me, you should make a podcast where you tell people that it's not all sunshine and roses for you as well. But I thought everyone knows that, because they go through the same thing. So I say a lot of positive things and have a lot of positive thoughts, but I also go through those things, and I tell, that's what we spoke about earlier. I have things that I need to do. So I can basically say every day starts bad for me.
Yeah.
I wake up, I feel a lot of pain, not happy. I don't want to wake up that way. But it's like...
But it is how it is.
Yeah, it's like that's the amount of life that I've accumulated.
It's almost the cards that you've been dealt, you
yes.
know? Yeah.
So basically every day I start from scratch. You start, okay, what's the first thing I need to do to feel better? What's the next thing? What's the next thing? And I think people shouldn't just look at social media, just look at what's out there.
No.
That is not the real situation. I'm not doing a post when I'm sad or when I'm crying, because that's not my type of content, and that's not what I want to put out there. I think people can take it with certainty. I do feel sad.
Yeah.
I do feel less motivated a lot of the time. I don't linger on it.
Yeah.
And I look for action. I'm a practical guy. What do I do now?
Yeah.
I feel this and I acknowledge it. I know I feel this and I know why I feel this. Okay, fair, good. What do I do now? What can I do? What's in my control?
Yeah.
And then 100%. I try to
100%.
take those actions, however difficult it might be, because I have the experience of what the outcome will be after that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a daily struggle. And it's like you said, it sounds cliche, but it is the journey. It's every day.
Yeah.
You don't reach joy and just live there.
Yeah.
Things will keep on happening. Bad things do happen.
Yeah.
That's just life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And yeah, that's the things that we spoke about now. Like, what is your list that you go through in the morning?
I have a little type of flyer that is a prompt to get me to do a journal.
Okay.
Because I realized doing a journal for me,
it's so valuable.
Do it in the afternoons. But if I just sit with a blank page, I don't know, it will get me not to do it, because it's discomfort. What do I write? What do I want to say? I don't know. It might sound stupid. Let's just leave it. So I made myself a little prompt list. Now, on this prompt list for every day, I have 6 things. And yesterday I couldn't remember the 6th one, but I'm going to try again. I have things that I need to tick off in my day, and I know if I don't hit at least 3 of them, I will feel different. So on that list is gym, sauna, cold shower, diet, meditation, reading. Okay, there we go. I remembered all 6 of them.
Nice.
So I need to hit at least 3 of them. Ideally, most days I hit 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Meditation is a struggle for me.
Yeah.
I have like a monkey mind. It's just rushing. I can't just sit and think of nothing.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the first thing. Then I have a prompt to evaluate on how I feel physically and how I feel emotionally. It's just literally 2 lines, a scale out of 10.
Yeah.
And then I try to write 1 word describing why I gave that number. Then after that, I have a financial goal. How far am I towards this financial goal for the year? Then I have a small block of something fun.
Yeah.
What did you do today that was fun? Because I find myself...
Yeah, you forget about the fun.
Yeah, I find myself just ticking off tasks and not doing enough things that are fun to me.
Yeah.
Then I have a small gratitude section. What are you grateful for? What is something that you can improve on? And what is something that you learned today?
Nice.
Now, I find myself sometimes not doing the journal because I don't feel I had a good day. And for that reason, I don't want to fill in a bad journal, you know.
Yeah.
That's kind of silly. But what I started doing what I started doing then is when I feel that way, I will fill that journal in the morning.
Okay.
To preempt my day.
Yeah.
So to tell myself, this is the things that you're going to feel. This is what you're going to experience. You're going to be grateful for this. You're going to do this thing fun.
Yeah.
And, you know, to basically preempt that and prophesy it over myself.
Yeah. I think those journals are amazing. I also started a journal, and it's so nice because you can write your dreams and your goals and your things in there. And I also wrote the sad parts, because the other day I went back on it, and I would be like, you know what, today I was sad about this and this and this, and about losing this and this and this, or I miss my mother, or, like things like that. And it also kind of shows you that the day that you are then in is actually better than that day,
Yeah.
And you've come a long way from where I've been. Where I'm now is actually much better than those places. So I think it's very important.
Yeah, memories are so fleeting. You will think I'm at a worse off place, but you can't really remember where you were 2 or 3 years back.
Yeah.
And that's why I find this very, very valuable to track and literally write those things down, because you're going to be looking at it. I want to do like a summary of my month with all those journals, and then a summary of the year, to actually get some value from those that work that you've done.
Yeah, I think a valuable lesson that I've also learned, that I'm thinking about now, is that our life also have seasons. So we see outside we have seasons. Now it's autumn, and we kind of feel like it's only nature that has seasons. And sometimes in your emotions, you feel like, I will never feel better again in my life. Like, this is the rest of my life. This is how I'm going to feel. And then you don't actually realize that you're just in winter. And so something I've learned is, I think it's Jim Rohn that had a whole talk about it. And that thing kept, I think I listened to it 15 years ago, if not more. And I remember that every single time I go through something, if my work starts drying up, and I'm like, it's okay, it's just winter, summer is coming. And in those moments, I'm like, okay, it's winter, it's a season of rest. So in these moments, I'm going to take a moment to actually look after myself and rest a little bit, and maybe go have coffee with friends, because it is going to change. But in those moments, I also never stop sowing, because the seeds that you sow in the winter, will sprout in the summer. And then you'll be reaping those rewards when everything turns around again. And then when you're experiencing summer again, you want to get as much good memories to fill your heart, that when your emotional summer turns to winter, then you have those things to hold on to and know that these times are coming again. Fun trips, or just, I don't know, tickling your kids, or small things like that. But in your finances, in your emotions, in nature, in your family, everywhere, you get seasons. You get winter, you get summer, you got spring, you got all of it. And you kind of have to go and figure out, what is the things that I'm going to do when my winter comes? What is the things that I do when spring comes and I feel so fresh and, then you have to kind of run and do whatever you can and just grab hold of everything in your summer and so that's a very valuable thing I've learned.
I saw a podcast, or actually just an interview with Tom Hanks, and he said also that one of the most valuable things that he learned was, this too shall pass. Be that in the good times, remember, this too shall pass. Let's enjoy it. In the bad times, same thing. This too shall pass. And like you said, with the business, I've had this talk with my wife many times. In the winter time, she's a biokineticist. So people don't like training in the winter time, and they'll rather leave that injury till summertime. She can literally see it. The winter times are a lot more quiet. And I tell her, doesn't help stressing about it. First thing you can do is save up for the winter. Make sure that you've saved up.
Be wise.
But then in the winter time, you have extra time. Make sure that you get to do those things that you don't get chance to do in the summertime when you're really busy.
And then it's no time to sit and wallow.
And even just accepting that. And I'm going to roll with that. I'm going to make sure I schedule extra things for me to do that I enjoy, that won't impact the the financial return in a good way,
Yeah.
but it's okay. It will again fill up the emotional piggy bank,
Yes.
and that will level each other out again.
Yeah. Very important.
Yeah, and I think it's just a realization,
Mm.
and you're doing what you can, and that's fine, and that's good enough. Let's go with how it's going.
Yeah.
Tell me, did you learn something about yourself in this whole journey that you're on?
Absolutely. I've learned that I'm so much stronger than I think I am, and even smarter and wiser in a way, because you kind of see yourself as not enough, and not, and why is these things happening to me, and what is wrong with me. And I've just learned that, like I said earlier, it's the cards that was dealt, and it's the way that I handled it, and I actually handled it very, very well, I think. And that makes me proud.
I read a beautiful thing yesterday where a guy said, if you're dealt a bad hand, it happens. Bluff.
Yeah.
Bluff, because you can still win.
Yeah.
You can still even win, even though the hand is bad.
I love that.
That's beautiful, and that is precisely it.
Yeah.
You
And-
can work with that hand. You can still accomplish something. You can still do something with that hand.
Yeah. And I mean, some of the songs and things that I've released now, the first few songs that I'm releasing now is songs that I wrote in that season. And it's all got to do with even chapters in the book, but I didn't realize it back then, because it's only been recorded now. But when I look back at it and I'm releasing it now, I'm like, wow, it actually fits so well into everything in my book. Yeah, so I think even from the bad, like, beautiful things can happen and can come out of it,
There's always the potential. The potential
Yeah.
is there. You get to decide what you do with that potential.
Yeah, exactly.
What would you want people to take from this book? They're going to buy the book. They're going to read the book. If you, the author, could lift something out which you would want a person to remember, or you want to teach them, what would that be?
I always hammer on that thing of, life isn't going to be easy. But so coming back right to the beginning, life isn't going to be easy, but you can still experience joy throughout it all. But then I think something that just popped into my head now is also, there's a whole chapter about forgiveness and how important forgiveness is. And it's something that people don't take seriously sometimes, or like you mentioned, or a resentment as well. And I mean, it can be towards yourself, it can be towards God, it can be towards people around you. And how forgiveness can actually make you free to experience joy again. Something that people take for granted and be like, no, it's fine. I'm just angry. I'm just angry and it's fine. But that anger just like festers and festers and festers, and you get to a point where you can't see straight because of that anger and that unforgiveness. And so if that's one thing that people can take out and just go and check their lives and say, is there anyone that I am angry towards and haven't forgiven? That's a massive step in the right direction already.
Do you have like a forgiveness practice? How do you do it? How do you sit with your thoughts and decide who specifically you need to forgive, or what you are still holding on to that you actually need to let go?
Yeah, I think there's different ways. I write about it as well. Like, let's talk about some serious crimes, like you've been raped or something like that. What do I have to go to that person and hug him and invite him back into my house? And no, you don't. You don't have to. It doesn't mean that you have to just like open your arms and be like, I love you now for the rest of my life or whatever. But that's like extreme cases again. So other cases you can actually do it easier. So in those cases, it's a thing of forgiving by yourself, almost, if I can say it like that. So praying about it and just letting that person go, because you holding on to that person is just hurting yourself. And then I speak about actually phoning somebody and being open and honest about it and saying, you know what, it took me insane courage to do it. And it's something I've been thinking about for years and years and years. But the moment I did it, it set both of us free. So I think there's a big thing about actually telling somebody, listen, I don't even know if you remember, but I just want to tell you I forgive you. It's beautiful how that actually sets both free to be like, oh, okay, it's settled. It's okay. So, but then also towards yourself, because I think that's one big part where people actually don't think about. They're like, I don't have to forgive myself. But there's things you did in your life that you kind of think about again, and I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have been here. I shouldn't have, made that choice. And you kind of think about it again and again and again. Forgive yourself. Forgive yourself. Yeah. Let's go on. Yeah. So
I think this talk was really valuable, and I think a lot of people will find a lot of encouragement through your resilience and through your story. And I honor you for writing it. I can assume it was very difficult to do.
It was an emotional roller coaster. I'm not gonna lie. I think it took a lot out of me, and that's why I also said I just had to recoup a little bit. And again, that's okay. Sometimes when we realize you have to do it, it's like it just also sets you free. Like it's okay.
And you need to allow yourself that.
Exactly. But I know it's going to make a massive change, and I'm excited to see how lives are going to be changed by it. So yeah.
That's beautiful. Where can people find you?
Yeah.
Where can they follow you? Where can they talk to you?
Yeah. So I have a website, laetitiakae.co.za. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, the usual places. I'm on YouTube, and my songs are on YouTube. Book is on Take a Lot and Amazon, so you can find it there, or you can direct message me. I do have a stack of books at home as well that I can ship across the country, but it's available worldwide. So anywhere on Take a Lot and YouTube, Amazon, and then my music is on Spotify, on YouTube Music, on Apple Music, everywhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Everyone, go check that out. Get the book, get the music. It will be worth your time.